What is up, YouTube, and welcome back to another episode of Oxygen Not Included. We are still working on the bottom of the base. Before, you can see I've made a bit of a boo-boo though, although I did trap the chlorine in a room and was going to leave it there for, what do I call it? Put it in a tank to keep it safe. Yeah, I dug out that area and there must have been sand there. Or another resource that falls, and as you can see, I screwed up. So, very quickly, on an emergency, we are going to... Also, that door, because I've just copied and pasted all the door settings, I've just unlocked that door as well. So, hopefully, they can get out of that room and get that built, and that will be locked out. So, although I screwed up, I have capped it again, so it's them 2 rooms now that need sorting out. Some of that chlorine did escape, unfortunately, but there's not really much I can do about that because it's free chlorine, so I can't just chuck a pump in and get it out. We'll have to just make do with walking through it on occasion until we can get the pressure up to move it to the bottom. Obviously, the oxygen pressure build-in will keep everything down at the bottom. And then I can do a nice, simple pump setup that filters out the various gases. But all of that is requiring the need for a tank. Now, just putting these blocks just to make sure that when you're building your structures, the bricks don't allow gas transmission, right? So it's always a good idea to put in these air blocks to allow the infrastructure to be there for your buildings, but of course the gases to move through. And that, specifically the importance there is that the oxygen can get to all of the rooms, but also that your carbon dioxide, which is heavier than oxygen and has to go down, your carbon dioxide will always go and settle at the bottom of your base. If it can't get there, it will settle in the room. And like where they're sleeping now, they wouldn't be able to breathe because you'd have carbon dioxide settling on the floor. So opening up the floors to these airflow towers, it allows all of that carbon dioxide to flow down the base and settle at the bottom. What you do with it then is entirely up to you. Usually once I've got the infrastructure set up, I set up a little trap, the lowest point, put a pump in there, and then store the carbon dioxide or chuck it into space, depending on how I like. Unless you can use the carbon dioxide for something, it's just it just gets messy, so it's always a good idea. You don't want it to build up too much because over a period of time it will build into your base. You want to keep the carbon dioxide level down out of your base. The only things that should be in carbon dioxide are perishables and certain plants. Your duplicants shouldn't need to be in there because they can't breathe in there. Look in there, you can see I've created a hospital, nice simple hospital toilet. That is modded to remove the need for, I believe it's a sink and a sanitizer. So yeah, again, the mods are put together for you already in a group. So if you wish to follow along or play along, you're welcome to. You can go to that and download all of the mods in one go. And then if you want to change it slightly, remove or add things, go ahead. If you do notice anything that's great or problematic, please do let me know. But like I say, that's a nice simple hospital, a toilet, a bed, and a place to eat. And I'll probably build a couple of them. Making it a room doesn't give any morale, it just means that they heal quicker. Same with the research centre. If you turn the research centre into an actual room, the research is faster. You don't gain morale, you just gain faster research. So again, I need to do some early game processing, and that will be the metals, so to get some actual copper or iron or just any actual refined metal. To do that we need the rock crusher, because that is the first stage in which you can do that. So we need to put it over here. The reason behind that is it creates a crap ton of heat, as does the furnace. I don't know if it's a furnace. No, there it is, the kiln. Thank you. The kiln. And that's used for making refined carbon and ceramics, which is also a very good resource. The ceramics especially for things that get hot, you can use that to stop it melting. But all of them items and processors create a lot of heat, so I'm shoving it over here. Same place as before, putting in a wall. I haven't got the thermo-safe doors yet, so I'm having to use the normal ones. But what it will do is stop the heated gases from escaping, and that's important. I don't know why it unlocks these entombed things that I haven't even covered yet. It's so annoying. Anyway. So yeah, the idea here is that I will squeeze them both in here, put the walls in as before. There's a massive gap then of, what is that, 2, 4, sort of 6 blocks between all of this setup, air gap, and then the base, so the transferring of heat should be very difficult. And by the time we get anywhere close to that, we'll have the heat-proof bricks anyway that we'll use to build up the power stations and the various other things. Where you saw then that flicker of gases, although there's not much oxygen over here, what I was looking for was how it was flowing, because we need to make sure that as soon as the machines are down, all of this gas will get hotter than the surrounding. Of course, people have to work in there constantly, unlike the power station side, so I'll chuck down a nice little oxygen generator in there, and that will allow them to be able to breathe while smacking the button on the rock crusher, because that's all they do is punch the button over and over again. I couldn't figure out why it wasn't letting me put it down, so I kept moving things. It turns out it's the tile that I've planned up there. I just need to cancel one of them tiles and it'll fit in there nicely. It took me longer than I care to admit to figure that out, to be honest, and then obviously that duplicate got stuck. Even though I've got the mod installed that makes them not stupid, they're still pretty stupid at getting caught. So yeah, you can see there it won't let me, even though there's plenty of space, but it's that tile where the second layer is, and the very last tile. And there we go. That's where I figured it out, and boom, in it goes. So a little micromanaging in the background on the duplicates. Got some points all down the board, so the new guy that we just got will make sure he's going into farming. This person's already the cook, so we'll get them up to the second level of cooking. Our tinkerer will improve as well. Of course, making sure that all the time that the morale is the morale, which is the green squares, is way above the red. And as you can see, all of them are very happy, simply because we're building the buildings right and giving them the morale and the happiness and the food that they need. But to be honest, it's just standard practice. I'm just going through and upgrading them in their retrospective positions, their actual jobs, tasks, to make sure that they're as good as they can be. Obviously, getting in these hazmat diggers means we can dig everything now. The demolitions means we can destruct and destroy anything we need to. We've got a cook, we've got a farmer, we have got an artsy person in there too. When I finished the main tasks that duplicate is there for, I always go into then the carry capacity traits to make it so they can carry as much as possible. After that, I usually leave them to see what I need doing and when, and if something's falling behind, or if people are causing backups and gated and etc, etc. So it's just, I use them where I need them. So I get them to max out their main profession and then give them maximum carry capacity, and from there I leave it alone to see how it goes. Building another hospital here, but as you can see already, I don't know why I built the hospital bed in the wrong room, or the toilet and the thingy in the wrong room. I'm not sure which way around you want to say it really, but either way, they're in the wrong room, so I will get to move that shortly. But the duplicates are currently putting in the waterworks for that, and they've still not finished my rock crusher yet. So one of my favourite mods for making it look nice and tidy, and also, as I've said, I like working on the decor, is the wallpaper mod, and this is it. So I always do this. You'll have seen it from previous seasons. I'm not sure if it's a thing that everybody does, but certainly me. I always go and put one of every tile down that I can place. Obviously, if I don't have the resource, I can't. But I put one of every tile down, and it gives me a palette. And from that palette, I then know what colour it gives me, because the colours are weird and wonderful. Some make sense, some do not. But more importantly, when I want to colour in a building, or when I want to wallpaper a building or a room, I can go over there and say, this is what colour I want. You can click it and then just click the copy button and off you go. It's nice and simple. So it's like a little palette that I use, and I always do the same thing. Forgive me for the horrible clicking noise. I could have done that better than that. But yeah, we've just told it to make us some 30 refined copper just to get that in there. The first sort of things I'll use copper for are automations mainly, and that'll be for like the smart battery. So the smart battery uses refined metal, and then the automation wires also use the metals, the refined metals. And this is what the screen looks like when you have no decor. And I am one for making the decor look nice, not only because it helps the duplicates be happier, but I just like the simplicity of it and the idea of it, because you'd want it to be nice, right? And it's not difficult, and there's a lot of options to use from. So as you can see, all them gaps I left and around the water coolers where they will gather, I'm putting in some statues. We need an arty type person to get to that, and there is someone, but it's one of their last jobs, so it'll take a while. But of course, it still will be warranted. You can see there is a lot of crap on the floor, which is also causing it to look ugly, which is what them dark red patches are. That's because there's so much stuff on the floor. That's classed as really poor decor, of course, because nobody likes a messy house, right? So we'll get them structures in. That's where I realised the triage bed was in the wrong place, so I'll move that down and delete that one. We'll get these structures built, and then of course there is a massive task coming up to get the wallpapering done. Now what I like to do is pick a room colour, so like the toilets, the bathrooms will be a specific colour, and then I make them all that colour. The showers will be one colour, and I'll make them all that colour, etc, etc. So you get like a theme. It's just what I do. Let me know how you do it, if you use that mod at all, but I do really like the wallpaper mod. It also hides all the ugly cables, pipes, etc. Everything in the background, it hides it all. So it just looks a lot tidier, all in all. Okay, so now we're moving over to the next research, the advanced research, which is using the supercomputer. The supercomputer I have installed is the modded one where you can wire in the water, because watching them go backwards and forwards for a bucket of water every time is awful. I'm then putting a light above each of the research stations, because that does increase the speed of research as long as the light is on. Now, along with that, I don't want the lights to be on all the time, because if somebody's not researching, you're wasting my electricity and therefore my coal. So now I've got refined metal. I'm just chucking in a duplicate sensor, wire them to the light next to it, so that whenever a duplicate is working on one of the research tables, the light will be on. Else, the lights are always off and saving that electricity. Now, you'll see at the minute they're on all the time, because of course it's not all wired up properly yet, and you've seen me plumb in there the water to the super pure, and that will mean it's just a lot quicker. It's a lot better. You still have to have the infrastructure and the water for it, but using the self pump thing and then carrying it over, it just takes forever. You can see that's now a laboratory, and there's efficiency bonus there, so the research is quicker just having them in there. So all in all, I think it's warranted for the purpose, and then chucking some decor in there, because they don't want to be in an ugly place when they're researching. That's the last thing you want, because it makes them sad. And stress increases, and it's an all another problem. As you can see at the minute, stress is 0 across the board, so everybody's happy. Food is getting low, and we need to look at that. And as you can see, I'm just checking out some of the wallpapers here. What resources are they? Now, you've got to remember that some of these might look great, but unless you've got the resource, you can't do it. So one of them was quite nice, but it was coal. I am not painting a wall with coal, because coal is a resource that we're using to keep the whole house, sorry, not house, whole base running. So just having a quick look at what looks nice versus what we've got a lot of, and then we'll get that thrown in, as you'll see right now. The center column I always do all one color, and then the rooms, as I say, I make them a specific color. So there's a lot of clicking here. I'm not going to go through all of that, because it must be horrible on the ears. There you go. And they are indeed just chuck some in on there. You can chuck it behind the walls as well. It does help, but visually it makes no difference whatsoever. So going in here, do we need another duplicate? We have 7, so yes, because we can cap out on 8. So the question is construction, medicine and strength, or science and piloting. We'll go with construction, medicine and strength, and likely make Amiri, was that? I missed the name, apologies. Likely make them our local doctor moving forward, so that we do in fact have someone that can treat people when we need it. And then you can see compounding, medicine compounding, first level. As soon as we get to the next level, which is bedside manner, we can then build the proper building that actually heals duplicates from various different ailments. We have to make the medicines, of course, but it is what it is. It's a process, as they say. Bit more research there, and you can see I'm now getting the pole because the base is getting tall, and we want to speed them up on the downward path. All of these now, where we're using the purple science, which is the advanced science, are the next 2 rows you can see. After that, the next row is the yellow science as well, and then after that you get the final science, which is the orange science. Don't get any further than that to my knowledge. It's all pretty straightforward. I've been to the end of the research before. It's not too difficult to do. But there I'm just making sure we've got the poles to move around easier, and then the smart battery as well to restrict our coal as best we can. So with that research finished, we've got the smart battery now, so I'll make it a critical to crack on with that. It's not the end of the world because, as you can see, the actual generator is still running, so nothing's going to run out. But as soon as they connect that first cable, the automation cable, to it, it will stop it. And at that point, it's then a rush to get everything complete. Now remember, the smart battery and all of the automation wires that we're using are refined metals, so you will need to have the rock crusher going to do that. But now you can see the generator is running because the green signal is coming out of the battery because it is empty. As soon as that battery fills up, it will send a red signal, it will turn off the generator and then drain the battery. Once the battery is drained, it will then turn it back on again, and so on and so forth. And it just means that we're only ever using the energy that we need and not wasting any fuel, which means our coal should slow down in its use because it's not infinite. Nothing is on the map. I mean, there is a lot of coal on the map to start with, but it will very quickly run out. Just wiping out that pump there and all of the infrastructure for that, because that water is cleaned up now. So of course we can use that for something else and dig on. You just got to try and make sure that you don't forget your obsolete builds. If you've done them for a specific reason and that reason is finished, then get it cleared up and that resource back into your storage facilities. And that central column now is almost complete. The top's a little bit finer. We've increased the size of the farm as well. Yeah, you can just see the top up there is finishing off now with the final bits. If we go over to the decor, we should see that green is starting to become more apparent than the red around there. It's a slow progress, and remember, none of them pillars that we've put down count until they've actually been carved. So there's that to look into as well. So jumping a little bit further forward to save the repetitiveness of just waiting for duplicates to do their job, eating, sleeping, rinse, repeat. You can see now we've got some sort of infrastructure down here. The specifics are that we've got the gas masks that we unlocked, and I'm working on getting those crafted as we speak. And then as soon as we can, we're going to break through and start ripping out all of this area and getting this chlorine area sorted. That means building the pumps, getting rid of the chlorine again. Rinse, repeat what we did before, but on a much larger scale. The chlorine will still damage their eyes. There's nothing I can do about that for now. But at least with the gas masks, it means they can breathe and last a lot longer doing the chores and getting these jobs done. This is how I'll move forward until we get the spacesuits. Then we'll do exactly the same with them, and they then aren't affected at all. Putting in a proper airlock here when they actually get around to finishing it, because I'm hoping that that way it makes the rest of the base safe. And then we want to dig out all of that underneath and make sure it's all available for us to extend the base even further. To the left as well, you can see there's a lot of buildings that we need to work on. Getting another oxygen generator in here just to help them for when they are here. We are getting close to using that teleporter and seeing what the other asteroid is like, but not just yet. I want to make sure that we have basically this bottom section done before we do. We don't have many people, 8 in total. We want at least 1 or 2 to go to the other side, so we'll see. Digging through there, we now just need to look at what we actually want to dig out, which is absolutely everything here, as you can see. And then once we've done that, we'll go over the same thing with ladders as scaffolding to allow them to be able to reach all of them places. Once that is done, we then just need to wait for them to make the move as soon as the gas masks are equipped and filled up. So moving up a bit more forward, you can see we haven't quite got in there yet, and that is because the gas masks haven't been delivered yet. But upon setting that to the gas mask to 9, that seems to trigger someone to fetch it. Now, I know they're crafted, and I set them up to be crafted, but for whatever reason, setting the gas mask station to 8 wasn't enough to get them to walk over. You can see if I click on there, you can see them on the floor, actually, and I made 2, and it now says 0, so that means they've both been crafted. Somebody's obviously on the way. If you click there and go on to errands, you will be able to see it. So make them both 9. Errands, you can see somebody is in fact on the way. As soon as they put that on there, it will charge up, and then once it's got a specific amount, I'm not sure what, but a minimum amount of, there you go, there's the first one, and there's the second one. So you can see they're now absorbing the oxygen that's already in there, sent down from a gas pump that's built in the base. we'll be able to get the duplicants through and use. You can see there is damage being caused by the fact that I am forcing the wrong gases into there. That'll be anything other than oxygen. It's currently carbon dioxide. So I need to get a bit of a filter system in there to make sure that I'm not wasting materials. And the simplest solution is just to turn it on its side like so and chuck it in. Obviously, we won't be able to put a pipe down there, but for now, it doesn't matter. We're not going to bother with that. So it will effectively come down the pipe into the filter. The filter will then take out the oxygen and send it to the gas mask where it needs to be. And everything else, it will just dump back into the world. That way, the oxygen is going to where it needs to be, and they're able to work under there. As you can see, they're doing it as we speak. But there's nothing keeps getting damaged by the wrong gases getting to it. And there's the simple setup with export vent there. I've made it all critical so that it gets done immediately. All that needs to be done after they're built is the actual filter set to what I want. Now the output of the filter is the orange, and that's obviously been done as oxygen, as you can see. So now only oxygen is coming down that line and into the fans, into the gas masks. And the rest of it's just dumped elsewhere. Now we can actually get the duplicants in here and start ripping all of this out. And once it's an open air casket, we can then get it sucked out and stored. I'm going to look into the research to see how quick we can, in fact, get the storage tanks available, because there is a lot of chlorine that we're going to have to get rid of, and I really would rather actually put it in a building rather than a room. But on that note, we are at the end of the episode, so thank you very much for watching. If you like the video, please click like. Any comments are welcome as always. Again, thank you for watching. Take care. Goodbye.